In this video, you'll discover the dry stretch that makes almost all entrepreneurs fail. Hello, I'm Shane from IamImpact.com, and here's a concept that I recently realized and really need to share with you. So it ties in with the concept of the grind, and if you are not familiar with that yet, I will link to that below. The basic idea is when you build a skill, when you start getting better at something, it follows a logarithmic curve. A logarithmic curve is one where in the beginning you make progress quickly, but it never, it flattens out and it never reaches 100%. So if you think about it, if you acquire a skill, like you pick up a guitar for the first time. At first, obviously you can't play at all, but if you take some lessons, very quickly you go from no skill at all to being able to play some chords and being able to play a basic melody. So in the beginning you make progress in leaps and bounds and it's very motivating. But that skill curve flattens out. So once you're an extremely good guitar player, you have to put in hours and hours and hours of work to get noticeably better because you're already that good, and it just takes so much more work to go from the top 90, the top 5% in the world to the top 4% in the world. Huge difference to going from 0 to 10% skill. And the same is true for when you're building a business. I mean, you're working on an entrepreneurial skill set, and in the beginning you discover all these new things and everything comes easy, but as you keep going, it takes more and more work to get really noticeably better at your craft. Now here's the problem. In terms of the payoff that you get out of it, in terms of the payoff that you get out of your business, that progress follows an exponential curve. I mean, not literally exponential, but it follows that kind of pattern, meaning that in the beginning it is flat and you're basically almost zero for a very long time. And then once it starts taking off, once it starts growing, it can grow very, very quickly. So here's an example of that, right? A very simple example of that is once you have a really successful business, you're like, oh, we have $1 billion, let's buy this other business and add it onto ours. Bang, you've doubled your business, right? Basically instantly. And it's only because you have such a successful business with so much money that that's possible, right? So you have to be in this stage where you already have all this growth, where you already have all this power essentially, where you can just like make these big moves. You can spend tons of money getting more traffic, you can just buy another business, you can hire the best people and so on. And that helps you grow much, much faster. In the beginning stages of the business, you can do no such thing. And I've really noticed this very much myself as well. There's this really long dry spell where your skills are increasing, you are doing work, but there's no noticeable return. And if we look at those two curves, you have the skill growth curve where you lose momentum, things start getting slower and harder, and it's not as motivating anymore as it was in the beginning. And you have the payoff curve, which is still just trundling along close to zero. There's this dry stretch in the middle, and this dry stretch can be long, okay? In many cases, we're talking about months or even years, where you're putting all this effort into growing your skill, and it's really hard to make progress, and there's no noticeable payoff. And this is where most businesses go to die. This is where most entrepreneurs fail. So that's just the idea I wanted to share with you. Unfortunately, I don't have a magic trick to solve this problem. This is simply how it works, but I want you to be aware of this, and I want you to be aware that it can seem like nothing is happening for such a long time, and even the tiniest bit of growth can actually mean a lot and can turn into this more exponential kind of growth if you stick with it long enough. All right, so let me know what your thoughts are about this concept by leaving a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.